Thank you for joining us, sir. Once again, we welcome you on your management, especially the chairman and the managing trustees, the faculty members and students of Adithya School of Business Management. I was a little late, stuck somewhere in between. It was heavy rain out there. And I wanted to join your session because, after some time we are meeting again. I don't want to miss this meeting. So you can start as usual, sir, starting from your journey at the beginning, how you started, and you have gained your engineering background, and I think I still remember those things. You have worked around the places and you started your own venture. And maybe you can share your initial startup and how you made the life successful and what these young people today, they have to learn. They have to build their character. They have to nurture in the skills what they see through tracheas. Maybe you can share some thoughts, then we can have some discussions over this.
Sure, absolutely. So just to understand, the structure of the meeting, we have how much? We total 1 hour, and out of that, how much time do you want me to talk and how much you want to leave for interaction? I'm flexible.
You can start, maybe they will have some welcoming note by the students, sir. Let them have some short note from their side. After that, you can share like 10-15 minutes from your side on the opening area. What you wanted to share to them. It's a great inspiration to them. Maybe you want to leave a note to the students to take it forward. After that, you can go into the questions and answer.
Sure, absolutely.
There may be some couple of questions, maybe around 10 questions. So maybe you can elaborate if time permits. We can go till maybe 1 hour time if you are fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I have time. No problem.
Sure, sir. Please, the welcome note, please, now.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir, and good evening, everyone present here today. It is my absolute honor to welcome you all to the ASBM CEO Meet 2025, a journey to seafood. Today marks a significant occasion where we come together to explore, plan, and shape the future of leadership, with a special focus on the incredible journey to the seashore. First and foremost, I am deeply pleased to extend a very warm welcome to our chief guest, Mr. Makarand Deolalkar, founder and CEO of Grow Digital LLC. Makarand is a visionary leader who has carved a remarkable part in the world of digital, cloud service, and e-commerce. He is someone who has consistently the power of transparency, accountability, and humility in leadership. Mr. Makarand's work has had a profound impact on the industry, and we are thrilled to have him with us today to share his insights, wisdom, and experience. We welcome you, sir. I would also like to extend a warm and heartful welcome to Dr. Sundarpandian, sir, whose continuous guidance and support have been instrumental in the success of our institution. Dr. Sundarpandian, sir, your vision and direction continue to inspire and uplift us all. We are truly grateful for our mentorship. Last but not the least, I welcome our executive learners at ASBM. Today marks the beginning of an enriching journey, one that will not only broaden your, but also challenges and inspire you to take your leadership and business skills to new highlights. Once again, a warm welcome to each of us. Thank you, sir.
Actually, there is a correction. Ratnavel, the name is Mr. Makarand Deolalkar, right? So you have to pronounce it properly. So apologies for that, sir. My apologies and our team's apologies. Thank you. It's to you, sir.
Yeah, sure. Well, good evening to all of you. I know that it's past your normal daytime, so I'm so glad that you guys made the time to come and attend this session. And thanks to Munish Harini for being so persuasive and persistent in ensuring that I find time to join this. And of course, thank you to the faculty members and everybody for inviting me. So don't worry about my name being mispronounced, Ratnavel. You are not only one. I know it's a bit of a tongue twister, my name. So, some people do. But my name is Makarand Deolalkar, and I started my journey right out of college. I did my engineering from BITS Pilani in 1984, and then since then I have been in the tech industry. In fact, I've only worked in the tech industry. So I would say that my career, just to summarize it very shortly, briefly, is in three phases. My first phase, which lasted for about 10 to 12 years, was deeply starting as a software programmer and working my way up as an analyst and project management and so on. And then the second phase really was in terms of creating and building businesses because I had a unique opportunity in about 1998 to join Larsen and Toubro when they were starting their information technology business, Larsen and Toubro Infotech. So essentially, it was a startup because Larsen and Toubro, as you know, is a very large engineering construction company. And so joining them and creating an IT organization was very new. And so it gave me an opportunity to essentially create and build uh, a startup organization, which eventually today it's close to 5 billion. So it's a very large organization. So that's kind of my second journey, which took me into finding new businesses across the globe in US, Europe, Middle East, and Asia Pacific, as well as creating a very talented organization of young professionals who eventually really were able to compete with the best in the world. So that was really the charter in, I would say, my second phase of my career, which my first phase was about 12 to 14 years. The second also lasted about the same, you know. And then the third phase, I would say, was more in terms of, corporate leadership and creating and identifying businesses for the future and doing that until I retired in 2002, 2022, right after COVID. And then I decided that having had all my experience of building businesses, creating new organizations, why not I help organizations grow? And that's the idea by which I created Grow Digital LLC. And today I advise a number of smaller organizations. I do not want to work with large organizations. I want to work with smaller organizations. I go back in my own lifetime, my own journey, and really look back at how small organizations struggle to have mentorship and leadership advice to help them grow. And hopefully I can fill up that void and create that. So that's in a brief about my background and my journey. Now, when I meet a set of young professionals like all of you who are about to embark on their career, I'm at odds as what do I really talk or try to give you guys advice? Because honestly, any interaction that I have with young folks like you, I end up learning a lot more than what I can give because you all young minds come up with lots of good ideas and lots of new ideas, and I think that is very invigorating and very important, especially in the world that we live in today, where innovation and new ideas is really what drives the future. So I don't think I want to give you any advice per se on what you guys should be doing in the future because I would really like you guys to explore and experiment and be bold to take initiatives about what is your passion, what drives you, what you are passionate about, and really take that forward. And I think um, identifying, realizing, and working with your passion and working hard to really convert your passion and what you really care for, and putting that into action and execution is really what the future is all about. But I would like to share with you a few things that I followed in my career so far, which I think could be a few nuggets that you might want to ponder upon as you build your future. First and foremost, I know that you guys are about to graduate or already graduated or looking forward to graduate. But let me share some breaking news to you. Learning never stops. Okay, so if you're thinking that this is it and I don't need to learn anymore and I'm out of school, you're in for a big surprise. I mean, one of the things that I do realize even today that every day I find something new to learn. And I think your drive to find new things, to learn new things is so important, especially in the world that we live in today, where technology is changing by the day, if not by the hour. And so I think learning new things. I would say that in my entire career, I never ended up doing things which I already knew and I had already mastered. Each and every stage, what I did, I was challenged with learning new things, in finding out new ways of doing things. So I think, the first and foremost advice that I would like to, or a nugget that I would like to share with you is that, uh, learning really never stops. Just one sec, let me put this on silent, please. Sorry about that. Okay. Um, the second thing, that I always realize is that, or one other nugget that has been very helpful to me is understand to be understood, which means um, you know uh, having empathy towards the situation in which you're working, towards the people with whom you're working, towards the organization and business to whom you're catering to. I think that is so very important. And unless you kind of take the pains, because we all come from a very solution oriented mindset. We have ideas, all of us have ideas, and we want to share those ideas, we want to put them into action, but sometimes it's kind of a solution looking for a problem, you know and so it's or a hammer looking for a nail, and you don't want to do that. You want to first take your time to understand the situation, empathize with it, because empathy builds trust. And you may have the best of ideas, the best of solutions that you can ever think about, and you may be really spot on in terms of solution also. But it's really of no use if your customer or the business you're serving or the consumer that you're servicing does not accept your ideas. And there are enough examples, in of failures as well as successes, where either this has been not followed or has been followed, and that's what has driven success. So I would really, and one of the things that I really like about what I'm seeing right now is that there is diversity in this group. I see that there are a lot of young women, who are there on this forum, who are embarking on their careers, and women to some extent have a natural advantage in building empathy, and that's a good part of it, and you need to leverage that. And that's not to say that men don't, that's not what I'm hinting at all, but what I'm trying to say is that all of us need to to really leverage on the empathy part, understand to be understood, so that, your own ideas probably will go a lot further. Also, we are now living in an ecosystem which is very global. When I started my career, I don't think we were global at all. Wherever you worked, it was very localized. But today, as you go out in the work environment, you're going to have colleagues who are, globally dispersed. They come from very different cultural backgrounds. They come from very different, mindsets, if you may. Okay, their cultural upbringings are different. So is yours. Your cultural upbringings, your mindsets also very different. So how do you come together on that? And the best way to do that is to really take your time to also understand the other person's culture. Where are they coming from? And the less judgmental we are, the good part I like about the young generation, and I have children too, who are slightly older than you all, but maybe of the same generation, is that your generation is less judgmental than probably what our generation was, and which is a good thing. So being less judgmental about things, understanding, driving empathy is something that. So this is kind of a couple of things that I thought I should share with you guys in terms of my nuggets. But I know that I don't want to keep going on this, because I want to make this a lot more interactive. And as you guys ask me questions, I'm sure I'll be able to share more. But the last thing or the most important thing I do want to share, okay, and I'm sure that you guys have this in mind, that, this guy is talking about lots of high-level things about, empathy and, learning, all that. But tell me, what do I do today? How do I, get on with it today? And I think the one thing probably that is on everybody's mind, which is most topical around, is AI, right? Is it, or is it not? Give me a thumbs up if you think it is, or if you don't think it is. Um, and I do want to share with you that, my own perspective on how AI is going to completely impact your lives in a much more positive way. Or if you ignore it, it might actually, you may be playing catch up. So, how many of you use ChatGPT? There you go. I'm so happy, all of you. So, how many of you have used ChatGPT in your personal lives? Like, you're going, very good. So, like when you're going out for a vacation or to a new city, have you asked ChatGPT to do an itinerary for you? Maybe if not, you should try that. But what I'm trying to say, the reason I give that example is that, AI, knowingly or unknowingly, AI is impacting our lives day to day, and it's making lives a lot simpler. So therefore, as you go, and I know you are business students, and you're going to go and see what impact are you going to have on businesses. I think businesses, you need to understand how AI will impact businesses. Now, there are a couple of things that are going on, and there are some, ways in which AI will impact. But it also requires us to have a very different approach other than just implementing or using technology. So technology is omnipresent, and you all have been using it. A lot of ways in technology is used is in terms of automation and other things, and automation is always going to be there. Most enterprises will find ways to automate jobs, automate work, and I'm sure you guys do that in your day-to-day things also. But when you look at AI is a lot outcome-based. So it's a lot more beyond automation. So you are looking at, so AI is trying to solve problems which are what is the best treatment for this cancer. So it's very outcome based. It's looking at how will the treatment really give an outcome, which is going to cure the cancer or actually mitigate the cancer. It's when you go and look at travel experience on ChatGPT or anything else, they are more interested in finding out what is it that you want to do. Can I have the best cultural experience when I travel to Vietnam? So it's not just going to giving you, okay, tell me all sites I want to see in Vietnam, because you can find that on Google, right? What AI is really going is focusing a lot more on outcome based. And therefore it underscores my earlier point, which is you need to really therefore understand the business, the ecosystem, and the impact that AI can have on that particular business in terms of impact. And I think, and therefore, while you have technology like an AI, there are LLMs that you will find, and there's enough that is going on that every day something new will come up. But I think the bigger issue will be that how much are you deeply connected with the business that you're serving, and how well are you understanding that, or taking the effort to understand the business so that you can implement this technology to really drive outcomes. So that would be my point on AI that I just wanted to leave with you. I know we have already consumed about 15 minutes that the professor had allotted to me. So I would like rest of the session to be a lot more interactive, if that's fine. And feel free to ask any question that you want, and I'll be happy to answer. Or any topic that you would like me to cover.
Hi, sir.
Hello.
Myself, Ratnavil. So I have one question, sir.
Yeah.
As a founder, you will likely face the challenges of scaling your company while maintaining its core value and mission. What strategies did you use to ensure the Grow Digital LLC mission remained that intact as the company grew?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's no one single answer to that, because this is always a balance that you do, so in terms of so there are a couple of things that you need to follow, that's what we try to follow. Okay. First is you need to have clarity on your mission and vision. Okay. Um, and that is very important. Okay. Because if you don't have clarity on your own mission and vision, okay, that what is it? And that's where comes back to my earlier point about passion. I started my talk about passion, right? So you need to really take into consider what is my passion, what drives me, where is it that I want to, why am I doing this business, and where do I want to take? Yes, of course, I'm doing this business to make money and uh, become rich, no doubt about it. Okay. But those are goals. Okay. But finally, what is your mission? Okay. And what do you stand for? And when you lay down your mission and vision, we realize that there are certain values that you have that are core, either because, of your upbringing with your parents have imbibed, or what you believe for, what you care for, And so I think, connecting back with your passion and, having your own clarity on mission and vision, and therefore the values that you have, I think that is absolutely core. And most businesses, I think, are so goal focused that they don't realize, what is that they have lost clarity on their mission and vision. And therefore they will go and, palandar from one end to the other and so on. Okay. So that's the first part. The second part is, having had that clarity, do your employees understand? Do your partners understand what you stand for? So I think driving that alignment with your employees and partners to, understand what your mission and vision is, and why you feel passionate about it, that is very, very important. So I think both of these things have to be done in order to, stick to your, what you care for and what you stand for.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, sir. I'm Harita.
Yeah.
Sir, I glanced through your about in LinkedIn. Leaders become greater not because of their power, but because of their ability to empower others. Words of John Maxwell is your view to the leadership. So I have a question to ask you. AI and automation are rapidly transforming today's industry. So, how do you see AI impacting the future of leadership? And what do you think are the essential leadership skills that cannot be replaced by the AI?
Yeah, again, a very good and great question. So first of all, let me preface and confess that I'm not an AI guru. So I don't know whether AI will replace leadership skills or not. What I can say today is from what I know about AI and where AI is. But AI is changing so rapidly that 5 years or 10 years from now, what I'm saying, you may say, "Oh, that guy was talking bullshit." So let me preface by that. But it's a great question. So first of all, I do totally believe in what that quote of John Maxwell. Okay, that we and you guys are highly talented young folks, right? You have worked hard in your board exams, you have come to your colleges, scored well, and so you are achievers. Okay, and I think that there is the good news about achievers is that they set goals high and they aspire and they work very hard to meet them. The not so good news about achievers is that sometimes they think that they can do it all alone and fail to carry. And as you grow up in the organization and as you build organization, you realize that your success depends a lot upon how your team performs. Of course, my favorite, Rohit Sharma, I would like him to score a century and, rain sixes each time, but it's not going to happen, right? So the way he can empower his team and help them grow, is very important. Now, coming to AI and how AI and automation will be. I think as a leader, the most important thing that you can do is to really encourage and empower your team to leverage AI. And, in the manner that I mentioned a little while back, which is really to encourage systems thinking in how to leverage AI. So I think empowering your teams in terms of giving them exposure, making them aware of the larger business issues that you're serving for your client, the ecosystem that you're working. So that when they are looking at technology, they're looking at it from the lens of how do I impact this overall business and how can I really change the outcome of this business, okay? And how can I really go into area that this business has not been earlier? So I think that's what I mean by empowerment. Empowerment just doesn't mean that, yes, you have given them 5 AI tools and say, okay, go work with them. Yeah, that's one part of it. But the other part of it is really helping them understand and giving them exposure to the overall business ecosystem. That's what I mean. Now, as far as, can AI replace leaders? Yeah, that's an open question. Personal, my view, I don't think so, because like I said, that the empathy factor, I personally believe is so important for success. And I don't think today machines can really do that. I don't know what will happen few years from now, but as of now, I can say that it cannot.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, sir.
Yeah.
I'm Harini. My question for you is that when I went through your profile, I saw that you won a 6-year contract with a Fortune 3 global oil and gas company, which is a huge accomplishment. So, what strategies did you employ to secure this contract, and what were the key factors that helped you stand out from your competitors?
Yeah, again, it's a great question, and it's a good question because this is very passionate to me. You know, it's very close to my heart. So I think this was a very unique situation because the time that had uh, that or we had an opportunity uh, to bid for that contract. We were a very small organization. Um, and we most of the other large IT majors were all already with, and it's a very large Fortune 3 company. Their turnover was size of GDPs of few nations. So it is such a big organization, global. Um, and when we started that, we were there were about 28, 30 vendors, and we were probably one of the last. Okay. If they would have to do a pecking order, we would be the last. Okay. But how did we become number one from last position? I think there are two or three things. First, um, we believe that we can make an impact. Okay, so one of the things that I believed in it very clearly, and I was able to drive that level of passion amongst the team. And I was very fortunate to have team members who shared my belief that yes, we can make an impact, and we will win that. So first thing comes from belief, and there were enough people who said that you have no chance. Okay, including some of my seniors and my own bosses who said probably this is a waste of time. But clearly the belief that I had that we can make an impact, and therefore we will work towards that was prime and fundamental. Second thing was we took great pains to understand that what is it that this large oil company is looking for in a partner. What do they care for? And what do they want from a partner? And what outcomes are they trying to drive out of this, okay, relationship? And after we won the contract, we got a lot of good feedback from them. And one of the feedback, they said that most of your competitors were very, very focused on telling us what they are good at. You were probably the only ones who ended up telling us, um, you know, why are you good for what we want? And there's a lot of difference between the two. You can always be good. You can always be the best in everything. But the real question is the marriage suitable? How do you make sure that what you are good at is something that relates to what your customer or business really wants? And I think that marriage and bringing about that clarity in why we will serve their purpose best was something very critical. Of course, there were other things that, we had to pass through, hygiene factors that we had to qualify technically, and we were there and, do a few other things. But I think fundamentally these two or three things. The third and the last thing I would say is that, don't take anything for granted. You haven't won the game until the last ball is played. So you have to continue to work hard and diligently as if it's the first time that you're playing. So I think these are some of the things that um, keeping the eye on the ball, and giving your best till the last, okay, was something that I would say was the third thing. So That's what summarizes how we won that.
Passion, believe ourselves, and hard work. Well said, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Passion, believe ourselves, hard work. And other thing is relate your strengths to what the customer really wants, understanding why the customer is doing this particular procurement and what are they really looking for a partner and what outcome they want. I think taking pains to understand that and then relating what your capabilities are to that is something very important. A lot of us do it the other way around. We talk about a lot of good things which we have done. Of course, we have done a lot of good things, okay? But relating that, so, let me take it in another domain now. Let's say tomorrow you guys are going for an interview. How would you prepare for an interview, for a job interview? You would obviously go through your resume again and think about all the strengths and what all you are good at, right? That's great. You should do that. And that's mandatory. But I would say equally important or more important is you understanding that what is this job position? What are they looking for in the candidate? What kind of organization is this? And why are they today hiring? What is happening in their business that they need management graduates, what kind of success that these management graduates or what are they looking for from these management graduates that will make their business a success. I think the more you try to spend time in understanding that and then relating your strengths and your resume to what those, I think that probably is a better way to succeed, is what I would say.
Any questions?
Hi, sir. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
So, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced when negotiating and securing this contract with a global oil and gas giant? And how did you overcome them, sir?
So I think, one of the biggest challenges we obviously had was the size of our organization. We were a much smaller organization, and in terms of what they were looking for, so that was obviously a big thing. The second thing was just the perception of what they believe the strengths of our competitors were and what our strengths was, just for the perception thing. So I think the first one was really, something that we overcome by laying out and making them aware that based on what they need and how our organization is geared up to meet that, And that meant that we did very meticulous planning in terms of day by day how we will execute. So, you can say that, most of you guys are aware of what project plans are, right? Okay. So, we built a project plan which was, literally down to half a day, okay, on what activities we will do over a 5-year period. And that gave them the confidence that, despite our size, we had an execution game plan that was so well laid out, okay, that we can do it. So, a lot of times when you encounter such things, which are perception-based, you have to get into the detail. And you have to counter that by making sure that you have detailed level execution discipline that you're making the customer aware of. And I think that made a lot of difference because that essentially threw the size argument out of the window, okay? Because they were very clear that, oh, these guys really have a plan, on that. And it's not just saying, oh, we are big, we have done this, so therefore we can do it for you, okay? So there was a lot of difference between the two. I think the second one in terms of countering our strengths, so you have to be clear about and make transparent about what your team is. And, so we selected and handpicked, a team. We shared what our team can do, what capabilities they bring, and so on. And therefore, with this plan and the team they had, the confidence was built. Yes, these guys can really do it. And that's how we overcome those challenges. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, sir.
Greetings, sir. Myself, Santosh Kumar. I have a question for you. In your experience, how important is collaboration between different sectors and industries or even countries in driving innovation? Can you share an example of a collaboration that significantly influenced the group growth or transformation of Growth Digital LLC?
Yeah, I would say I would more talk about it in the context of Lassen and Tubra Infotech, because I have a better example there, okay, just because of that. But yeah, I think, collaboration between sectors, industry is very important, okay? Because a lot of times, we think this as a monolith, which it is not, okay? Because it's actually sum of many parts, okay? Anything that you do. And a good example was a very large company that we were working with in Scandinavia, you know. And if you look at Scandinavia, we think Scandinavia is one part. It's one monolith, right? But if you go down, there are different cultures. So there's a Swedish culture, there's a Norwegian culture, there's a Denmark culture, there is Icelandic culture, there's the Finnish culture, and so on, So I think working with this client and trying to solve their problem, okay, it needed a lot of collaborative work, okay, between the different, because the way you do things in Denmark were different from the way you did it in Sweden. Not just because the laws and tax laws or fiscal laws were different, but because of many other things, because of cultural nuances, other things. And therefore, driving a collaboration, between them was so critical for us, Understanding how the local geographic challenges. So, for example, in Norway, we had a very hostile environment, in the winter that is there, plus geographically very dispersed areas. So we had to come up with very innovative solutions for addressing those needs. Okay. So I think, you cannot, point I'm trying to make is when the reason you collaborate is not just because it's good to collaborate and, you can together do things, but it's almost a necessity because you otherwise are unable to relate, empathize, or understand what the local conditions will be and how your innovative solutions will fit rightly in the local context, So while you may come up with the best innovative solution that you may think is can one size fits all, in reality it doesn't. Okay. And I can give you other examples around the world that we had to do this, but yes, collaboration, not just between industry but also between different parts of that industry locally in different countries, I think is equally important.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, thanks, Srikanth.
Yeah.
Your batch for MBA students like us who want to become an entrepreneur.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question, please?
Your batch for MBA students like us who want to become an entrepreneur.
So if I understood your question, you're asking, for somebody like you who's graduating
Civil?
from and sorry, go ahead. So you want to be how to be an entrepreneur is what you're asking?
No, sir. His question is that, like for us MBA management students who want to become an entrepreneur, your words on that, like advice, sir.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you, Shrikant. Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Sorry about that. Okay. But yeah, so I think first of all, it's great that you're thinking about being an entrepreneur. That's the first step, okay? This thing. But I think, so a lot of what I talk were around the lines of what entrepreneurs or entrepreneur thinking should be. You need to have a passion, firstly, okay? You can't say overnight that, I want to be an entrepreneur and then dabble into one thing or the other. You need to be clear on what your passion is, what is it that drives you, okay, and what do you believe for, okay, and then you can start working towards that. So that's the first and most important thing that I would like you to consider. That what is my passion? For example, let me give you my daughter's example, okay. My daughter is a mental health therapist. Okay, so she's a psychotherapist and she, gives counseling for regarding mental health, and she of course worked with organizations and she, a number of different clients. But one of her passions, okay, that she has identified is that she believes that mental health especially in certain cultures, South Asian cultures, Asian cultures, is actually a stigma. We don't consider this to be as important, to be treated, like other cultures do. Rather, we have so much stigma that we push mental health under the carpet and choose to ignore it, especially when it comes to women. Okay. So one of the passions she has identified for herself is that I'm going to really see how can I build an organization, a group of mental health therapists who can specifically cater and look at South Asian women who to whom I would like them to not consider this as a stigma, but something that is important for their own well-being, for the well-being of their family, for the well-being of their friends that they work with, you know. So I think that's kind of the passion that you identify. And once you have the passion, then you start working towards that. Then you start working that, okay, if this is my passion, how do I want to? And you can take small steps towards that. You can take few steps and start building, how you are going to execute on that passion. Okay. First and most important thing is passion. Second thing, of course, the advice I would give is nothing comes easy. Okay. So you are going to have a string of surprises, you're going to have string of failures, you're going to have challenges, you're going to have frustrating days. And what really makes a successful entrepreneur from a not so successful is perseverance. That basically that they have so much passion that they believe they will persevere and they will say that no, I am going to continue despite all the problems, despite all my setbacks and failures and so on. I am going to pursue this. So I think second thing is perseverance. And the last and not the least is just plain simple hard work. It's just can't go away from that. But I would say this is, but again, I applaud you if you are thinking about entrepreneurship. It's a great way forward.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? I know folks at the back, I hope you guys were able to hear me, and any questions from any of you?
Any questions we will ask, sir? Huh? We will wait for the classrooms. Any questions?
Yes.
You have a great man in front of you from New Jersey on Friday morning. Please talk to him. Say hello to him. You will meet him sometimes in the US. Say at least hello, sir. How what answer you liked it so much? Kind of interaction. No? Sir was talking like almost 45 minutes. They have no questions, it seems, sir. Anyway.
Okay, no problem at all.
Do you have any questions from the panel? Panel members, do you have any questions?
Panel members, any questions?
They are trying to connect, sir, and they have some network issues.
Oh, okay. No problem. We have time, no problem. We can.
We have another 10 minutes more time we can talk. I think.
Yes.
Do you have anything to ask, Shrikant?
Sir, hi, sir.
Yeah. Go ahead, Harita.
So I have one more question.
Yeah.
So success in business is often measured by profit, market shares, or growth metrics. Or how do you define true success, both personally and for your company?
Yeah. So we talked a lot about vision, mission, values, so on, but we didn't talk much about goals. So this question comes very much into goals. Okay. So I think, for the business to be successful, while you need to have passion, while you need to have a vision and mission and values, you also need to set yourself measurable goals. And those goals can be on a time horizon, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. People make strategic plans for 5 years, they're tied to goals, And again, those goals must be in some way related to your vision so that, you're taking it towards the right direction in realizing the overall vision, mission. So I think setting those goals are important. I think, and you can do it, some people some businesses set up very big, audacious goals, and which are very hard to meet, and others do it, moderate goals. But that's a leadership style, how you want to. Personally, I used to set up goals for my organization, and my seniors also did it for me, such that they were not easy to achieve, but they were not impossible either. So most of the time they were kind of stretch goals, but they were, because what happens with goals is that if you set goals which are impossible, then people kind of just give up, and just don't work towards that. So, at the same time, you should set up easy goals, then people will become complacent, right? And you will become complacent. So it's important to set up goals which are enough of stretch goals that are there. Second thing is, while you set goals, you also need to have a culture and discipline of measuring and metrics. You need to be very data driven. Okay. That as much as it's good to say that, yeah, great work done, what does great work really mean? What is it, the data? How am I benchmarking with my competitors, with my peers? Okay. How have they done differently? How have I done? And therefore, translating those goals into measurable metrics and KPIs that you can track, on a regular basis is very important. And then having that, discipline where you are transparent about what those KPIs are. what those measurements are, because transparency drives accountability, So you're calling a spade, you're doing very data driven, you're being, very data focused so that, you are bringing in that transparency, and therefore then the discussion no longer becomes, I feel this, I feel that. It's really based on actual metrics. So I think having goals, which are of course related to your vision and mission, but then translating them into metrics and measurable KPIs and tracking that on almost monthly, quarterly basis is something that is absolutely important in any business that you venture into.
Question,
That's
just
a good
last
question.
one sharing, last one sharing. I wanted to ask the question. Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So self-branding is something people speak so much today. Self-branding. So how do
Yes.
you see that as a successful business person? How do you see that, that is so important for the young people? And how do you think they should brand themselves? And transparency, people speak about transparency, and self-branding is not just publicizing ourselves. It's about marketing our qualities, character, like your transparency, honesty, and hard work, and many other things that comes along with that. So your thoughts on that, please, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor. Again, this is such an important question, especially in today's context where, there is such a huge social media explosion. And branding is sometimes confused by saying number of likes I get on my Instagram video or my, YouTube channel and so on. And which is good, likes is a very important metric. I'm not trying to disagree with that, But I think if you go and look at what are the most successful brands, okay, and you can take any number, whether you take, uh, Apple or, anything else, okay, any brand, any successful brand you say, they have of course done a lot to promote the brand by, different forms of advertising and all. But very important, what they have advertised or what they have claimed as their, quality or their uniqueness or whatever, the experience that you get from that brand has matched what they say or exceeded what they say. And that's the key about branding. You can talk a lot about who you are, your qualities, and what you are going to be and how you are the greatest. But if the experience that you get from your product does not match what you talk, then that's not a brand anymore. And brands are built as much as you advertise. Yes, that's one part, but more importantly, from the experience that you get using that. And successful branding is a lot about experience. So you may say that, I am, very transparent person. But then there are things that you don't share or you're not transparent about things, then your brand experience is not going to match what you're saying. Okay. Or if you say that, my product is a fail-safe product, that it rarely fails or, has 99% quality or whatever, but yet your product fails, then it doesn't match the brand. Okay. So I think, very importantly, I think good brands are the ones who will advertise, who will give very, and they don't advertise by, going all over social media and branding themselves all over and, like splashing their ads all over. They're very surgical. So they understand who their buyer is, okay, who their consumer is. They relate to what their consumer and their buyer values and what their values are. And then they relate their product or brand to those values. And then they're very surgical in terms of advertising based on that. But more importantly, they make sure that the experience you get from that brand or the product or service that you get. So when you go to Taj Hotels and stay there, you will get a particular experience. And that experience is unmatched. So then when Taj Hotels claim that, yes, we give you a unique experience in their advertisement, you relate to that. You don't disagree with it because you know that, yes, you actually do get that experience. So I think organizations that care for, making sure that the brand lives up to the standards that they have set, are the ones who will be able to successfully build a brand. Okay? That's my simple answer.
Sir, it was wonderful and living up to it and experience. You have to share with that experience, not just merely, just telling it. Telling is not branding. You got to make it possible, right? And you have to live up to it. That's very important thing. That's wonderful.
And all of you young folks that are there, you need to think about your personal brand also.
That's the question.
Okay, so and you have a great opportunity of personally branding yourself. You have tools like LinkedIn, Instagram, all that. And what you care for, what you like, and therefore when somebody meets you, and you are able to be equally passionate or give that same kind of experience. I think that's what is going to make your brand. And you should work very hard to create that brand. But more importantly, understand and relate, what do you really stand for? What do you care for?
Thank you, sir. Really, it was wonderful. I think we have crossed 1 hour. We started like 6:30, it's 7:30. And your valuable, precious time you shared with us. And thank you for your consistent support and, and all the students. I see you very seldom you post something in LinkedIn and something very important things only you post in LinkedIn. Right. And thanks for responding to our students and connecting with us today and sharing all your valuable thoughts, which carries like decades of experience. You shared it to them within like 1 hour time. This is going to give them a lot of input in the next career. They're going to have like 40, 50 years. Of course, we are all the people. We wanted to live through them through sharing our values and things like that. And your values will be living with us, with our students' lives, whatever possible in future. And we'll meet up in some other occasion. Duly, with respect, we would like to thank you. And it's a great honor hosting you today, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And all the best to all of you. And, you all have a bright future with the kind of education that you guys have got. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Natarajan. Thank you.
Sir. God bless you, sir. Take care of you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.